happy 2022, I guess. It is now February 2022. We're like less than a week to the month, but I figured I'd, you know, do this before March comes around because I did finish my books. I have written my respective blog posts, so let me, make my respective video. Anyway, here are the books I have read. I have finished reading in the month of January 2022. Now, before I get into them, let me just say that last year I didn't read the 150 books I wanted to read. I think I read about maybe half, maybe less of half. So I'm like, whole convoluted, very convoluted calculations. I said, let me try and read 180 books this year. Not gonna happen, probably. Possibly, unlikely at this point because of the way my reading has gone so far. But, that's what we're looking for the rest of the year. So anyway, why I say that probably won't happen, I've only read 5 books so far. For me to read 180 books in the year, I have to read at least about like a book every 2 days. And I read 5 books in a month. And when I say read, I mean finished. But I finished 5 books in a month. So the pace is not there. It can be there, especially if I read a bunch of manga or I have a graphic novel glut, or I just have a glut of shorter reads. But we'll see what happens there. I finished 5 books in the month of January, and in order of finish, from first finished to last finished, I read first Phantom on the Scan, Cullen Bunn. I gave that one 3 stars. Next one was The Girls of Dimension 13, 3 stars. Very cliche, chosen ones gathered together. They're not sure who it is. Fight off evil. It's what it was. 3 stars for me. First 2 books I read. Last 3 were all 5 stars. The next one I finished was Emily K. Abel's Sick and Tired. It was so good. Really interesting discourse on what is fatigue? What does it mean to be tired? Who is defining these things? What are they in the context of? Is it all in labor? Is it an individual? It's just really, really interesting questions. And I think a solid read, especially for anyone in the medical or health and wellness field where you're going to be, dealing with other people, but not even only there. I think also policy reasons when you look at what are your policies and why are they your policies? Just, especially a good primer for questions, because a lot of it mentioned labor history in the U.S. specifically. So 5 stars for me. I think everyone should read. Next title I finished was a graphic novel, and I read 4 graphic novels this month. The first 2 were also graphic novels. Next one I finished was Proteus Vex, Michael Carroll. It was such a fun little jaunt. It was very, at times the drawing felt very much like you were reading a golden age type of comic, but then it felt very modern, but then it was like this space opera with these, wild creatures and galactic wars. Right up my alley. I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, so I recommend it. And the last title I read was a compilation of Al Ewing's Judge Dredd, comics. When I think of Judge Dredd, I think of Sylvester Stallone in the 90s film being this very stoic, I'm about the law. So, of course, after I finished my read, I had to go and watch the movie. And it was like, this movie is not entirely what I remember it being, but the comics ended up being a lot funnier than what I thought they were going to be. So, going from one impression, reading the source material, going back to the original producer of my impression, with the content of the source material, it was just a really interesting rewatch. So yeah, I gave that one 5 stars. It was a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. Very camp. So, 5 stars for me. Anyway, that's it for the month of January. Again, short month reading wise. Here's to a lot more, quality reading. Probably going to be very selective. I don't think I'm going to be reading a lot of mysteries. I read a lot of mysteries, and a lot of them end up being meh sometimes. But then I'm going to be very selective gonna really read through the descriptions. A lot of times I read the descriptions. Oh, that sounds interesting. It's on my shelf to read. When I finally pick it up to read, it's like, what? Why did I pick this book? So I don't know. A lot of reading to do. I have a bunch of books currently reading, and I was thinking about maybe potentially doing like books I'm reading by month or by upcoming reads. If that's interesting, someone let me know, and I will see about doing that. Anyway, thanks for watching. So always see you till next time. Goodbye. Yes.